Ready. Welcome.
Welcome. It's good to be here.
Welcome to Tea with ALSA. Unfortunately, we don't have tea. Well, at least I don't anyway, because I'm very tired. I've got a lovely oat flat white here, as you can see.
I prefer coffee anyway.
Nice one. Fantastic. So we have Arlinda Ismaili. She's the co-founder of Kaia Mar, a sustainable fashion brand that produces cactus leather, all the way from Mexico, I believe.
Yeah.
So, Kaia Mar, chat to me. How did you come up with the brand?
So it was during the pandemic. Myself and my co-founder Lara, who can't be here today, we just came up with this crazy idea of making luxury fashion a bit more sustainable. Everything's made from calf skin, so we wanted to provide an alternative solution to leather. And we got some samples from all over the world. We got samples of grape, pineapple, mango, like all these different fruits. They're all available in the market if anyone's ever interested. And the best one we came across was Deserter, which was cactus-based leather, and that's seen across our bags. And then since then we got in touch with some designers and we started our first launch of Kaia Mar. And since then, we just went step by step, and here we are today, ready to launch Kaia Mar independently. So that will happen in the next few weeks. So I'm very excited about that.
Fantastic. And how did you manage to start independently? Because we know a lot of companies, they rely on funding from other people, maybe from banks, maybe they take out loans. How did you manage to get yours off the ground?
Well, surprisingly or not, during the pandemic, you kind of got that free time to do a little bit more outside your work because you're working from home. So together we'd spend like our free time just coming up with some ideas and designing, etc. So that was a high benefit for us. And then the rest was just collaborating with other people around the world. Like we've worked with international clients and international suppliers, actually, our manufacturers in China and Costa Rica, and our suppliers in Mexico, our designers in Paris, and we had like website designers from like Colombia,
so proper international.
Albania. Yeah, so we've had help from everyone. I wouldn't say it was just us doing everything. I want to give gratitude to everyone else who was on board with us. But also when we started the journey, we wanted to test the market. So we initially launched our products in Kickstarter, and it's this platform where you kind of just start your ideas and see how it booms within the market and if there's an interest. And we did quite well. So that was a good tester, and now we're ready to launch independently and see how we do with the rest of the world. We do ship internationally, so we want to kind of be able to identify which market it will work best in and see how we do independently, really.
Yeah, amazing. And kind of when you did your market research, how much interest was there in what you were designing and what you were promoting, which is effectively sustainable fashion?
Well, you can see the shift towards vegan and sustainability mainly through food. I think day to day you see more alternatives to vegan options for meat in restaurants. So it's definitely taken a tour in the food industry. And I think the fashion is picking up slowly. There's definitely a massive gap within the fashion industry. There's not many sustainable fashion brands that are vegan, or if they're vegan, they're you just find them kind of like in the market. You find a big gap within the luxury market. So we're definitely trying to fill that gap, and hopefully we get to supply that demand that is out there.
Yeah. Well, why do you think there's such a gap in the industry right now, despite the demand?
I think because people are only starting to acquire more knowledge of the whole supply chain. So they're more interested they want to pay, so they want their money to go to a good cause or for good value. So people, for example, even with ethical brands, they're paying more for a fair trade banana rather than a normal banana. So I think everyone is more cautious in their purchases, and people take more time to research what they're buying and where their money is going to. So I think social media has really increased that knowledge, and it's allowed us to become more aware with everything and stay in touch with each other. So the world's becoming closer together. So I think people definitely are more interested in the supply chain of the product rather than just purchasing something rapidly, and they want to make sure the fair trade as well. The suppliers are paid well. There's so much boycotting in like certain brands because they're not treating their employees fairly. And for us, it's so great to work with a company where we know our employees that are making the bags are treated fairly as well. And we want to have a very ethical journey. We're not 100% there yet, but we're learning with our suppliers and everyone else. And slowly we can fulfill that demand.
Yeah, how difficult has it been to kind of follow that ethical journey 100%? Because obviously the supply chain of fashion industry is very complex. So it's, how difficult has it been for you, essentially?
There is no brand that is truly ethical throughout the whole supply chain. And I think the brands we're working with as well, they are working towards becoming ethical. Our supplier is 2 years old in the company, and the same with our manufacturers. They're very young. So everyone who's jumping into the sustainable fashion pool, it's very new to it. So we're kind of working together and collaborating to make it work and reach them. It's hard to make 100% cactus bags because then it'll be just liquid.
Right, yeah.
But I think it's a new journey for everyone. So we'll slowly reach to a green, sustainable journey together. I think it's highly dependent on the new infrastructures that are developed, new brands that are coming in the market, because we are not creating the leather ourselves. So whatever's produced and whatever upgrades are available, we'll definitely reach out and collaborate with them. We always want to provide the best of the best. But for everyone in the industry right now, especially fashion, everyone's very new and they're trying to work together to become as more sustainable as possible. But I can confirm and I can honestly say no one's 100% there yet.
Right. I kind of want to ask you maybe a question which you might not be able to answer, but that's fine.
Go for it.
How important do you think is it for like these major fashion brands, like your Gucci's, your Yves Saint Laurent's, your whoever's, right? How important is it for them to kind of lead the way in terms of research and development? Because obviously they're the ones with the capital. Brands like yours, you're just starting out right now. So how important is it for them to kind of lead the way?
Well, they've definitely have a status in the market for being the way they are. So people that do go to them, they prefer calfskin. And it depends whether those customers change their minds and change their purchase habits. And when they do, I'm sure those brands will easily catch up and swap to more sustainable fashion. And that might happen in the future. I can't speak for the high-end brands, the high-end designer brands, but I think it all comes from the customer themselves. It depends how customers' purchasing habits change. And if more people change and learn more about sustainable fashion, then I think those brands would have to catch up as well.
Awesome. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure.
So you don't have a background in fashion, as far as I know. You actually have a background in finance. So talk to us a little bit about that. Kind of how you pivoted from kind of finance into the fashion industry.
Yes. My master's degree is slightly creative.
Okay, cool.
So I do have a master's in marketing and advertising. So that always allows me to remain creative. And I always wanted to do something outside finance because I think finance sometimes is quite structured and you're always having to follow a procedure or stick to the box. And fashion and being creative allows you to kind of go abstract and think outside that. I think I just wanted to kind of create my own thing. And this is definitely a representation of me and my ethics and morals and what I believe in. And having COVID was kind of a good blessing. It gave me the time and the resources to make my own ideas come to life. But despite working in finance, I've always had that creative side, which I was just waiting for the right moment to just let out and explore a little bit further. So this was a great opportunity. And when you set up a brand, I think those two come in handy together because it's quite hard to set up a brand just being creative. I think it requires a lot of data and analysis. So I was kind of blessing to know a little bit about both fields and combine them together for Kaia Mar.
Yeah, amazing. And I suppose it's quite difficult to kind of not just transition from finance to creative, but also kind of still have that data, that technical side still there. So I was wondering kind of how you balance the two, both within Kaia Mar, and also if you're still working in finance, for example, like how does that work with both of the things?
Haven't you heard? We like boomed and I quit my job. I'm kidding. No, so right now I'm still doing my full-time job day to day. I'm working within financial insurance. Myself and Lara both work in those fields. And we do this in our part-time, and then when the brand needs more of our attention, we'll definitely be able to give it more attention. But right now we're just starting and growing and seeing how everything goes. A mix between the both. I think right now, like I said previously, we get so much help from different members around the world. From like, you go online and everyone's there. You can find people to help you with anything. We're not experts at anything. We're just trying to get the best people to come together and help bring our ideas to life. So hopefully we become somewhere and we provide something interesting to the market that is not currently available.
For sure. Now you mentioned your co-founder Lara, who can't be here unfortunately. Tell us a little bit about her kind of and how you met, and obviously this is a joint venture between you two. What made you two decide to go, we need to do this, basically?
So we used to work as consultants in our previous job, and we were working together for one of our clients. And I think every lunch break we would spend like trying to talk about innovative ideas and what we would change here and there. And it was just crazy, really. Like, so one day Lara was like, why don't we just make it happen? Like, we're always talking about all these things. Why don't we just start it and see like what we're both interested in? Let's go. She like took us to a room and we were like brainstorming what we both had in common, some ideas. And then we both realized we like fashion. We like, as women, everyone likes fashion, right? and we came up with some ideas and we're like, okay. And then we had another brainstorm of like, what is important to us? And we shared similar like values of like being ethical and caring about like the environment, the people, etc., etc. We mixed them together. We tried some other ideas before, but this one stuck more to us and it seemed more feasible.
Why?
The other ones were too big.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
And she's currently in Colombia. She recently got engaged.
Ooh.
So congratulations to her for that.
Yep.
And we're very similar in what we believe in. So that really helps. Even when it came to designing and creating things together, it's really nice to work with someone who you connect with and you're kind of aligned. We're not too different when it comes to like what patterns, what colors, etc. we like. So that was quite easy. And then the brand, it just happened from those crazy meetings and talks we had at work. And then during COVID, we were like, we have so much free time. Let's do something and not stay bored and eat food and get fat.
Yeah.
That happened as well, but
of course, that happened to me as well. So
we were like, let's just do something like crazy on the side. And I was like, I never say no to many things. So I was like, okay, let's go for it. And we did some research. We were like, we didn't take anything seriously because we already had a job. So this was like a part-time something just to have fun. And sometimes when you don't take things too seriously, they kind of work out.
Yeah. So it's almost like you had the freedom to basically go and explore. And if you made a mistake, it was all right. Like it wasn't the end of the world or anything like that. Like you were speaking about kind of that your similarities very much align. I was wondering how important is that, in your opinion, to have a co-founder who you kind of, because for some people it's different, right? Some people, they need to be kind of different so that they complement one another. But you're kind of saying that for you guys, it works best when you're on the same wavelength. So tell me how that kind of impacts what you do.
We do have our similarities and differences. So similarities are, we kind of follow the same career path. She also came from like a creative background because she did some journalist work and she worked with when she finished uni, and then she moved to finance as well. So we worked for the same clients and we saw each other every day. We got very close because we found each other very similar. But day to day, we also have our differences as well. She likes, for example, to take on more of like analyzing some of the data stuff. And sometimes I'll just like to handle more on the social media, the website, etc. And then that kind of helps us complement each other and bring ideas together. So where we had similarities was, for example, when we had the designer in Paris coming up with a range of ideas, we did like a brainstorm and she came up with like a range of ideas. She was like, guys, pick which ones you like best. We picked separately, and then when we came together, it was really nice to know that we had the exact same options for a lot of like designers. And even when people do certain things and give us options to pick, we always tend to pick the same stuff. So it's quite nice to have that. But when it comes to day-to-day work, we kind of split our responsibilities. And that's quite nice because for example, she might not like to do some website stuff, but I enjoy it lots. And some stuff, sometimes I don't want to look at data or analyze them because...
Yeah. So whenever it becomes too much, you kind of share the burden.
Exactly. So it's like, it's a good fit between us two. And I think our similarities and differences complement each other in different ways. For sure.
Talk to me about the name, Kaia Mar.
Okay, this was so strange.
All right, go for it. Well, we're ready for it, so however strange it is.
Okay, so we came up with some random names and we gave them to our friends to vote. So this was based on our friends' votes.
Okay, so it was like a poll.
Yeah.
Popular vote.
Mar is sea and Kaia means sea in Hawaiian.
So it's CC.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it just rhymes well.
Sure.
So both myself and Lara were raised up in hot countries and we spend a lot of our time by the beach and the sea. Like there hasn't been a summer we haven't been to the beach. So for us, it was super nice to bring back our culture and our heritage back to the brand. And we were like, so whenever we have to make a decision, we're like, what do we like the most? So we include all our senses like smell, taste, memory, blah, blah, blah. It's a bit crazy, but we discuss it. We go into the brand identity quite a lot.
Yeah.
And we were like, what do we like? And we're like, we love the sea so much. And I was like, oh, great. I love it too. I'm always spending my summers in the beach. So we put those ideas together and we were playing with names and it was quite fun.
Yeah. Beach every summer, yeah?
Beach every summer.
There'll be a lot of people watching that will be very jealous because they've stayed in England their whole lives. So.
Yeah. Well, you should travel to the beach. It's very nice.
100%. Yeah. I mean, speaking of travel, kind of COVID-19 has kind of destroyed all that. I was wondering how COVID-19, because you said it helped you a lot, like how did it impact kind of supply chains for you? Because we know that kind of with COVID-19, shipping costs have gone up, transportation, like everything is just up in terms of price. So kind of how much of a challenge has that been for you?
The brands, our supplier and manufacturer were very efficient. There were some delays in getting delivery, but overall, everything went through the timeframes were met by everyone. The only thing that was high, I think, was some costs due to Brexit. And
sure.
Yeah, I think everyone's aware of those.
Yeah, everyone's aware of the kind of Brexit costs.
Yeah.
Where it's all going. So
just those. But overall, it didn't affect the workload or the supply to any of our potential partners. Our partners, not potential. They are our partners. Yeah.
Fantastic. And kind of in terms of the brand vision and style, obviously we have kind of the sea and the beach being an integral part of that. Let's even have a look at those.
Okay,
so,
go for it.
So we've got some of these.
Yeah.
These are the leather straps. Now I'll leave you to hold and tell us a little bit about it.
So this is Calypso. It's named Calypso, and it comes from a Greek methodology of like the sea goddess or the sea gods, and our whole brand designs are focused on abstract, and you kind of can see it across the whole design, and it's got parts of a woman's body. So it's got face and shoulders, neck, etc. And it's got like a feminine touch to it. And as you can tell, it's very abstract. The designer for this strap was based in Turkey.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so he was really cool to help us design this.
You definitely have an international blend going on with all things.
So it's very cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you know what this symbol is.
Right, yes, so the blue eye.
Yeah, so this is called Maji, and it's like a protector symbol in a lot of like countries, and it's just like a good luck charm for people.
Sure.
And I thought this will be cool because it'll be really recognizable in a lot of markets.
Goes well with what you're wearing, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't planned. And yeah, it's very cool. And what's really cool about our bags is that our straps are interchangeable.
Fantastic.
So we're trying to slow down fashion. So instead of people having to buy multiple bags, we are trying to get one person to buy a phone bag or a boxy bag.
Yeah.
And then by changing the straps, they can change their day-to-day outfits and their bags, like change the straps according to their outfits.
Right.
So it's quite easy. We also have a black one. So it will look, if I turn this over, it will look like this.
Sure.
Both sides. And then the phone bag comes with a very thin strap as well.
Fantastic.
So our collection is very small, but it's just a taster of what we're going to produce. And we have so many more ideas for the future.
Yeah. And you were talking about kind of slow fashion versus fast fashion. Kind of how important is that for not just you as kind of like, you know, making sure that you're ethical and sustainable, but kind of like for the whole world. We see like landfills being filled up, you know, year on year. We have nowhere else to kind of bury our items unless we kind of send the rocket to the moon, which causes its own problems. So
it is one of the biggest polluters, fashion. England, I think was one of the biggest polluters across Europe. We buy so much fast fashion products, and it takes so many years for every product to decompose. So I think also like the dyes, etc., they end up in the oceans. There's water intakes for everything to be produced as well. So there's a lot of disadvantages when you're buying things very rapidly because they break very quickly as well. So I always recommend people to buy something that lasts longer. So pay for value rather than, because if you really calculate it, you're buying so much more over a period of time if you're buying things very quickly that break very quickly.
Right.
So I think there's some trends changing, again, even with fashion, because before fast fashion, slow fashion, it was a term that was never really used or really defined before. So I think people are becoming a little bit more familiar with it, but it's still very slow. I think the effects of the two are seen in our climate changes. And it depends to each individual how much they care and what difference they want to make.
100%. So we were talking about kind of like international. Let's bring it back to the home country.
Sure. Okay.
So as far as I know, you weren't born here. You were born in Albania. Kind of how has that experience for you helped you, or maybe even hindered you in your life? We can talk about kind of both aspects.
So yes, I was born in Albania and I lived there till the age of 10. And I think my roots will always be Albanian because I learned how to read and write and walk there. So I'm very familiar with the environment. I think the main thing Albania helps me is it always reminds me to be humble. No matter where I go, I always remember where I came from. And for Kaia Mar, I would love to expand to Albania one day to collaborate with Albanian designers, manufacturers, etc., and to even be represented by our Albanian Kosovan stars. We're like all one, and yeah, it would be great. Imagine getting like Dua Lipa or Rita Ora.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys are watching, this is the one. Invest.
But no, I would be very happy. I think Lara as well, if we can get our countries to contribute to our brands and for us to give back to our community as well. Like in the future, when we collaborate even with charities, we would both love if those charities are connected back home.
Yeah, no, amazing. Has it been kind of difficult to reach out to people back home, or have you just not had the opportunity yet?
We have. I think it's been slightly trickier
You're right.
Than international brands. I think because some of them have already got businesses with Italy.
Sure.
I think they've got well-established deals with Italian brands. So for them to work with us, it took a lot longer to convince.
Sure.
But I don't see that as a disadvantage. Maybe they just need some time to realize.
Yeah, exactly.
And come back to us.
Exactly.
But no, I think in the future, it could work out. I think as we were establishing the brand and we didn't have products, maybe it was slightly challenging for them to picture what we had in mind as well.
Yeah. How have you been able to kind of expand like the reach of your brand? Because obviously starting the Kickstarter, a lot of people already have eyes on this and are kind of, have invested their own money into it. So what are the different ways that you've used to kind of, push this brand forward in terms of like getting eyes on it?
Kickstarter was a good preview, and now we'll just launch via our website, independent website. We didn't use that for any purchases, and now we'll allow people to purchase through our social media, so like Instagram, via our website, and we're becoming a lot more active in all like Twitter, TikTok, etc. So people can reach us, and we're visible across different platforms. We are still working in establishing a unique customer journey. The only thing I would highlight is because we don't have a store, we're an online brand. The only way we can interact with the customer is through delivery and through our website. So another thing we do is we try to make our packaging as ethical as possible. So we give, for example, like tote bags and dust bags that are 100% cotton organic, and our packagings are 100% from recycled cardboard, our labels, etc. Everything is quite ethical, and we hope that these little touches kind of give the customer an excitement when they open the packages, and they get to feel more of what it would be like if we had a store. So give them like a little preview of what our products are fully like.
Sure.
We want the entire journey to kind of be as ethical, as sustainable as possible.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously in terms of journey, you guys are just starting out.
Yes.
And obviously we hope that it's going to be a very long one indeed.
Thank you.
Going on for decades and decades. But in kind of your short journey, what has been kind of the best thing about it, and kind of that one moment where it's like, oh my God, like just down in the dumps, like your best and your worst moments?
I think the best moment was seeing our products come to life. When we got our samples, it was so crazy. When we opened them, I think we have videos, and when we just opened and touched them, it was unbelievable. Like just to see something from paper to like feel it and touch it, we're like, we did this? No way.
Right.
It was so crazy.
You finally seen your vision just come out into reality.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa.
That was the most, that and Kickstarter were like our most unique moments.
Yeah.
Challenging, I think there hasn't been anything too challenging. It's been like tiny things, like trying to meet deadlines and try and figure out, like, sometimes me and Lara think, oh, we love our product so much, but do other people think the same? And like you always
that
worry,
internal doubt.
Yeah, that internal doubt, like, will they love it as much as us? Because it's just two people creating everything together. And Kickstarter proved that it was successful, but you're always constantly doubting yourself if people like things the same way you do.
Yeah. As an entrepreneur, how important is it to get over that doubt? Because, a lot of people, everyone's got an idea that they can think, oh, I can do this or I can make this. But, the vast majority of people, they have this doubt. They're like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I don't have time, or people won't like it. Like, how important is it to get over that? And how do you personally get over that?
Okay, I don't know how everyone gets over it, but I'll talk about my own experience.
Sure.
So I think it's important to stay positive when you're doing something from scratch. It's important to have a strong, positive mindset throughout, and with every failure, to kind of not take it to heart, but see it as a learning and development, to recreate and know if something goes wrong, how I can make it better and learn from it. So throughout our journey, there's no doubt that everything will be perfect. And I'm very aware of that. It's just important to learn from others, see how other people are doing, do your research, try new things, be different with your designs and your concepts. But just to be very strong and continue believing in your brand, regardless if you have pitfalls and if you come across challenges and competitions, etc. Just continue to be innovative and find new solutions. So that's how I go about it. I'm sure everyone has a different way. I don't think there's a lot of books, but they're all very different anyway.
Yeah.
I read a few and
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I take inspiration from kind of, so many other people, and it's kind of interesting to see how, you might look at someone and they might have a process in place that they put, and they're like, oh wow, like I had the same problem, and these guys really managed to get past it by doing it their own way. And so you kind of pick things from others and you apply it to your own concept.
It works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't, because not everyone does the same thing. Right. So if someone set up a business, it will never be the same business. You will never have the exact same customers, the exact same chain. So yeah, take some ideas and use your own instincts.
Yeah, initiative. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do, it comes from you. So it always has your personal imprint on it.
I think so. I think sometimes there's a gut feeling. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes when you know something's going to work and it feels good, you know it's the right decision. And sometimes when something doesn't fit and doesn't quite feel right, there's like some doubts. And I think it's important with new products and starting something new to trust yourself in a way. Trust what you're feeling and kind of like really go inwards and really connect with your thoughts and your feelings and see if like, do I really want to go ahead with it, or am I just doing this because everyone else said so, or it's written somewhere that this is going to work. So you have to have like a lot of belief in yourself when you're starting something new.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you're a finance girl, you work with numbers. What's the kind of balance between going with your gut and going for what the numbers are telling you?
Well, there is, that depends on the limit of stocks we buy. So the amount we calculate and we purchase, it depends on the budget we create for it. Right. So we have an initial budget and we'll say, this is how much, we calculate how much it costs in total, and then we'll decide according to that budget how much stock we get. And then when we sell, we'll see which products sell more, etc., and then we'll predict the next batch. We're kind of like buying everything in batches. It's not, because they're so far away, they just can't come through.
Right.
But yeah, simple as that.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a lot of students kind of watch our podcasts and take inspiration from people such as yourself. We were all student once, I hope. So kind of what would your advice be to kind of anybody who's young and kind of starting out and thinking, oh, I don't know whether I should go for this particular idea? Like what would your advice be to them as someone who's kind of, you've worked in the corporate world and you've also been an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur?
So they can follow their uni routes as well. I wouldn't advise everyone to be like, oh, you started this subject, don't go for it, start from scratch. I think definitely explore what you've studied first. But if you want to start something new and try something new, I think what I would say, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but they're too scared to go forward with it. So all the tools are available. And they are like everything you need is out there. So if you have any idea that you want to create or you want to bring to life, everything is available. There's nothing that is missing in today's day and age. Technology is so advanced. So it's important to trial things out, not to be too harsh on yourself if it works or it doesn't work. And just continue to be ambitious and continue to strive and continue to stick to what you believe in, because there'll be a lot of people, for example, like I'm sure being Albanian, if you share some of the ideas with like the community or your parents, they're like, a vegan? What is this?
Yeah, they don't even know what that is.
So
trying to explain what that is.
If I have this conversation, which I did with like older generations, it was like getting blood out of a stone. It was so difficult. So But regardless of what they said, it didn't change my opinion of what I was doing. I was still gonna try it out. But sometimes there are people who, whenever they get a negative feedback or something doesn't work out, it'll stop them from continuing their idea, and it will really prevent them from an amazing thing happening. So I think just be courageous and have faith in yourself and just go for it.
I think that's so important, because a lot of times people in the Albanian community do things, per sua fascia. Basically saying like, oh, I'm doing this because, my parents told me to do this, or my community expects something of me. And kind of going against the grain is not something that we often see. So
it's true. They like to follow the crowds and listen to like what they've been told. And that's important, because sometimes you do get values from your parents and the older generation, because they've been through things, so they want the best for you. But as a young generation, you come up with new ideas. You can be more revolutionary with everything. You can create new trends and start new things as well. So a combination of both, I think. Yeah. But I do agree with like the Albanian community. It's quite hard sometimes to include myself in that journey, to kind of branch out and not listen to anyone and just go for it.
Yeah.
It's quite tricky.
No, 100%. And obviously the things that we're trying to do with this podcast, right? We're trying to break those stereotypes and break down those barriers and tell Albanians, or for anyone watching if you're not Albanian, hey, listen, just
go for it.
Yeah, forget about all the noise and all of that. Just go for it. Ultimately, you have one life to live, right? And when those other people are gone,
so dark.
Yeah, I know. This one took a little dark turn, but anyway, we'll remove all of those people soon. Okay, and finally, to end it, because let's not end it on a dark note. Let's end it on a light note. Let's end it with promoting your company. Where can we find Kaia Mar? Where can we go to? How can we get your products?
So follow us on Instagram, and across all our social media, it's at by Kaia Mar. And now we are also live, kaiamar.co.uk, and you can purchase via our website. And hopefully in the nearby future, we'll be collaborating with some brands and some departments. So if things go well, you'll be able to see us in some other places.
Can you give us a sneak preview or no?
No, because there's still like discussions, etc. But we'll keep you guys updated across social media.
Yeah.
So stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Arlinda. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause. Thank you. Amazing.